When shopping for a new smartphone, it's easy to focus on the processor, camera, display, or battery. But there's another specification that can have a major impact on everyday usability: RAM. Today, smartphone manufacturers offer devices with 4 GB, 6 GB, 8 GB, 12 GB, 16 GB, and even more RAM. With so many options available, it can be difficult to know how much memory you actually need. For most people buying a new smartphone, 8 GB of RAM is a sensible minimum. It provides enough memory for everyday multitasking, modern applications, gaming, and a more comfortable experience as software becomes increasingly demanding. RAM stands for Random Access Memory. It acts as temporary working memory for your smartphone. When you open an application, Android loads the data it needs into RAM so the processor can access it quickly. When you switch between applications, RAM allows recently used apps to remain available instead of forcing them to restart every time. Think of RAM as your phone's digital workspace. The more workspace you have, the more tasks the phone can handle without constantly clearing things out. However, RAM isn't the same as storage. Your phone's storage holds your photos, videos, apps, and other files permanently. RAM is used for the tasks that are happening right now. For years, 4 GB or 6 GB of RAM was perfectly acceptable. Today, however, smartphones are doing much more. High-resolution photography, AI-powered features, and video editing all demand more memory. Having at least 8 GB gives the operating system more room to manage these tasks simultaneously. Imagine browsing the web, listening to Spotify, and then opening Instagram. On a phone with limited memory, apps might reload. With 8 GB, the phone keeps them available for a smoother experience. It's important to understand that RAM isn't the same as processing power. A 12 GB phone isn't necessarily faster than an 8 GB one. RAM is workspace, not engine power. For typical everyday use like web browsing, social media, and YouTube, 8 GB is more than capable. It's also enough for most mobile games. If you're a serious gamer who streams or records gameplay, 12 GB might be worth it. AI is also becoming a major part of modern phones, handling tasks like generative images or writing assistants. These workloads benefit from additional memory headroom. Perhaps the strongest argument for 8 GB is long-term ownership. If you keep your phone for several years, applications will become more demanding. 8 GB gives you the headroom to handle future software. Choose 8 GB for great value and multitasking. Choose 12 GB if you plan to play demanding games or edit 4,000 video. 16 GB is mostly for enthusiasts. Don't forget storage. Either 256 GB is often more useful than a RAM upgrade. Also, ignore virtual RAM marketing. Physical RAM is what matters most. Avoid 4 GB phones unless for very basic use. In conclusion, for most buyers, 8 GB of RAM is the perfect place to start. It's all about balance. Combine 8 GB RAM with a powerful processor and good software for the best experience.